Guys, you don't actually need to think positive to change your life. I know that sounds almost sacrilegious in the self-help world, but hear me out for a second. In fact, trying to think positive might actually be the very thing that's slowing everything down for you. It's Mohamed here, and welcome back to Galaxy Gestalt. Today, I want to have a real, grounded conversation about why awareness, not effort, not forced optimism, but pure awareness changes your reality significantly faster than positive thinking ever could. What we're going to cover today is a bit of a shift in perspective. We're going to look at why awareness is more powerful than positivity, how your reality actually responds to observation rather than your struggle or your effort, and why simply noticing things causes them to change without you having to lift a finger mentally. By the time we're done here, I think you're going to have a completely different framework for how manifestation and personal change actually work. It's a perspective that once you see it, you can't really unsee it, and it reframes the whole idea of manifestation from being a chore into something that feels much more like a natural unfolding. Look, before we dive into the deep end, I want to mention that if you're looking for help rewiring the subconscious at a deeper level, I've got a free ebook called The Magic of Affirmations. It's linked right down there in the description. Grab it if you haven't yet. It's a great companion for this kind of work. So, let's get into it. Most of us have been told for years that if we want to change our lives, we have to change our thoughts. We're told to swap the bad thoughts for good ones. If you're thinking about debt, think about wealth. If you're thinking about being lonely, think about love. But here's the problem with that. It's exhausting. It feels like you're in a constant wrestling match with your own brain. You're trying to suppress a very real feeling or a very real observation with a thin layer of forced positive paint. And I'm telling you folks, the subconscious mind is not fooled by the paint. It knows what's underneath. When you try to force a positive thought over a negative feeling, you're actually creating more inner tension. You're telling yourself that what you're currently feeling is wrong or dangerous, and that resistance actually locks the old reality into place. You see, what you resist persists. We've all heard that. But we don't always realize that positive thinking is often just a very polite form of resistance. Awareness, on the other hand, is completely different. Awareness isn't about changing anything, it's about seeing. And there's a profound, almost mystical power in simply seeing. Think about it this way. When you are in a dark room and you're tripping over furniture, you don't need to think positively about the furniture. You don't need to affirm that the floor is clear or visualize yourself walking through the room perfectly. You just need to turn on the light. Once the light is on, you see the chair, you see the table, and because you see them, you naturally walk around them. You don't have to effort your way into not hitting the chair. The awareness of the chair's position automatically changes your movement. Reality works the exact same way. Most of our lives are run by subconscious patterns. Those are the pieces of furniture in the dark. Positive thinking is like trying to convince yourself the chair isn't there while you're still in the dark. Awareness is turning on the light. When you become aware of a pattern, let's say a pattern of feeling unworthy when you're about to ask for a raise, the moment you truly notice that feeling, something shifts. You aren't being the unworthiness anymore. You are the one observing the unworthiness. That tiny bit of distance, that gap between the observer and the observed, is where all your power lives. In physics, there's this idea called the observer effect. It basically says that the act of observing a particle changes its behavior. Now, I'm not saying we're all quantum physicists here, but the psychological parallel is incredibly accurate. When you bring your conscious awareness to an old habit or an old emotional loop, that loop can no longer run on autopilot. It requires your unconsciousness to survive. The second you shine the light of awareness on it, the structure of that reality begins to wobble. It starts to dissolve because it can only exist in the dark. I've seen this happen so many times with money habits. People spend years trying to manifest money by saying affirmations, but they never actually look at their relationship with money.
They're terrified of their bank account, so they avoid looking at it while chanting, "I am wealthy." That's a recipe for more stress. But the moment they stop and say, "Okay, I'm going to be aware of how I feel when I spend money. I'm going to notice the tight feeling in my chest when I pay a bill," that's when the change starts. You're no longer running away, you're being present. And presence is a much higher frequency than forced positivity. Reality responds to your presence. It responds to who you are being, and you cannot be a conscious creator if you're ignoring half of your experience. The reason awareness works faster is that it dissolves resistance without effort. If you have a negative thought and you try to fight it with a positive one, you've just started a war inside your head. Now you have two thoughts fighting for dominance, and that creates a lot of noise. But if a negative thought pops up and you just go, "Oh, look at that. There's that thought again about not being good enough. Interesting." You haven't given it any fuel. You haven't fought it, so it has nothing to push back against. It just floats there for a second, and then, because it doesn't have your identification to sustain it, it just withers. It's like a fire that runs out of oxygen. Awareness is the withdrawal of oxygen from your old patterns. You're not trying to blow the fire out, which usually just spreads the embers. You're just stopping the supply of fuel. I've found that this applies to our identity patterns more than anything else. We all have these stories we tell ourselves about who we are. I'm the person who always gets overlooked, or I'm the person who struggles with consistency. When you try to think positive, you might say, "I am a consistent and seen person," but your body doesn't believe you. It's just words. However, if you start becoming aware of the moment you decide to be inconsistent, if you just watch yourself as you're about to give up on a task, you start to see the mechanics of your own identity. You see the little feeling of boredom, the slight hit of anxiety, the urge to check your phone. By noticing these things, you're no longer a slave to them. You're the witness, and the witness has the power to choose. The person who is just thinking positive is still a slave to the underlying pattern, they're just wearing a mask. Quick pause here. If this is making sense so far, make sure to like the video, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. It really helps the channel grow, and it lets me know we're on the right track with these deeper topics. All right, where was I? Yeah, the idea of creating space. Awareness creates space. When you're caught up in a thought, there's no space. You are the thought. When you're aware of the thought, there's space between you and it. In that space, new outcomes can finally emerge. It's like your life is a crowded room filled with old junk. Positive thinking is like trying to shove a new, shiny sofa into that crowded room. There's no place for it to go. It's just cluttered. Awareness is the process of seeing the junk for what it is. And as you see it, as you acknowledge its presence without judgment, it starts to clear out. You're creating the emptiness or the space that is required for a new reality to actually land. You can't manifest a new life until you've made room for it, and you make room for it by being aware of the old one until it no longer has a grip on you. This is why awareness stabilizes your reality much faster than emotional highs. Positive thinking is often about chasing a high. You want to feel inspired, you want to feel pumped up, but highs are inherently unstable. What goes up must come down. If your reality is built on a high-vibe emotional state, it's going to crumble the moment you have a bad day. And then you feel like a failure because you lost your alignment. Folks, that is an exhausting way to live. Awareness is different. Awareness is grounded. It's the floor. Whether you're feeling great or feeling terrible, awareness is the same. It's steady. It's neutral. And because it's neutral, it's actually a much more powerful platform for creation. It's the still point that the world moves around. When you're aware of your inner state, you're already moving out of it. If you're angry and you say, "I am angry," and you really feel the sensations of anger in your body, the heat, the tension, you are already starting to disidentify from it. You're moving into the position of consciousness. Reality responds to that presence. I've noticed that when I stop trying to fix my reality and just start being deeply aware of how I'm experiencing it, the external circumstances start to shift on their own. It's almost like the universe is waiting for us to stop squirming and just look at what's happening. Once the lesson is seen, once the pattern is fully observed, it doesn't need to repeat anymore. The Gestalt is complete. Think about your daily loops. Maybe it's a loop of worrying about what your boss thinks of you. Instead of trying to think, my boss loves my work, which might feel like a lie, just be aware of the desire for approval. Notice where it lives in your body. Notice the thoughts that come up. Don't try to change them, just watch them, like you're watching a movie. What you'll find is that the movie starts to get boring. The drama loses its sting, and suddenly you find yourself walking into your boss's office with a natural confidence that didn't come from an affirmation. It came from the fact that you're no longer being controlled by an unseen fear. You've seen the fear, and in the seeing, the fear has lost its teeth.
Reality responds to your state of being, and your state of being is determined by what you are conscious of. If you are conscious of your lack, you'll get more lack. But if you try to be positive about wealth while still being unconsciously aware of lack, the lack still wins because it's the deeper truth of your current state. However, if you become consciously aware of your feeling of lack, you are now in a position of truth. You are no longer pretending. From that place of truth, you can actually move. You can say, I see this pattern of lack. I see how it's affecting my choices. That honesty has a frequency. It's a frequency of clarity. And clarity is one of the fastest ways to collapse an old reality and bring in a new one. You know, I really want you to try this. The next time you feel yourself spiraling or feel like you're failing at positive thinking, just stop. Stop the effort. Just look at what's happening. Literally say to yourself, I am aware that I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, or I am aware that I'm having a thought that I'll never succeed. Notice how that feels. It feels different than trying to fight the thought, doesn't it? It feels like you finally stopped running. There's a peace in that, even if the thought itself is negative, and that peace is the foundation of a new reality. It's about being an observer of your own life. When you're the actor on the stage, you're caught up in the drama. You're stressed, you're reacting, you're trying to remember your lines. When you're the person in the audience, you see the whole play. You see the lighting, you see the other actors, you see the stage hands. You have a much broader perspective. Awareness moves you from the actor to the audience. And when you're in the audience of your own life, you can see how to rewrite the script much more easily. You aren't blinded by the spotlights of your own emotions. Look, this stuff is simple, but it's not always easy because our egos love the drama. Our egos love the struggle of trying to be positive. It gives the ego something to do. Awareness is a threat to the ego because it's so quiet, it's so simple. But I'm telling you, it's the most effective tool we have. Just notice. Notice your breath. Notice your reactions. Notice the way you talk to yourself. Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it right away. Just be the one who knows it's happening. That knowing is the spark of divinity within you. That's the part of you that actually has the power to command reality, not the part of you that's repeating sentences 10 times a morning while feeling like a fraud.
And if you haven't yet, grab my free ebook, The Magic of Affirmations. The link is right there in the description. Even though we're talking about awareness today, affirmations can be a beautiful way to direct that awareness once you've cleared the space. It's about using them from a place of presence rather than a place of desperation. We've spent so much of our lives trying to do things to change our reality. We do the visualizations, we do the journals, we do the gratitude lists, and those things are fine. They have their place. But the most powerful thing you can ever do is to simply be aware. It's the difference between trying to push a car and actually turning the key in the ignition. Awareness is the key. It engages the engine of the universe. Once you start living from a place of awareness, you'll notice that opportunities start to show up more quickly. Your health might start to improve because you're no longer ignoring the signals your body is sending you. Your relationships change because you're aware of your own projections. Everything starts to shift naturally without the frantic energy of trying. It's a calmer way to live. It's a more grounded way to live. And honestly, it's a much more effective way to manifest. Reality isn't looking for your effort. It's not a stern teacher that only rewards you if you try really hard. Reality is a mirror. If you're frantically trying to change the image in the mirror by scrubbing the glass, nothing happens. If you change the person standing in front of the mirror, the image changes instantly. Awareness is the way you change the person standing in front of the mirror. You stop being the person who is reacting to the reflection, and you start being the consciousness that is projecting it. I've found that as I've practiced this, my life has become much more of an unfolding and much less of a hustle. I don't have to force the positive thoughts anymore. When they come, they're genuine, and when the negative ones come, they're just interesting data points. They don't have the power to ruin my day because I'm the one watching them, not the one being them. That's the freedom I want for you folks. That's the Gestalt, the realization that the whole of your awareness is so much greater than the sum of your individual thoughts. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks for spending this time with me. Whether you like, comment, share, or subscribe, that's totally up to you. I appreciate you being part of this journey regardless. Just remember, you don't change reality by fighting it. You don't change it by pretending it's not there. You change it by becoming deeply, quietly, and honestly aware of it. And once you really get that, once you stop the wrestling match and just turn on the light, everything starts shifting naturally. Stay aware, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one.